So this is a video I've wanted to make for a while now, but I just haven't really found a way to put the finest point on it. So I just want to dive in and talk about safety on set, why filmmaking is so dangerous, and basically how not to die making films. I have a couple of videos on YouTube about what a director does, what a producer does, and a lot of people ask a lot of questions on those, and they're great. But when people ask me in real life, I always tell them the first and foremost responsibility of the director and the producer is safety on set. Everyone who comes to set in the morning should go home with all their fingers and toes at the end of the day. Even if you've made an amazing film, it probably won't even get finished if someone gets injured. You'll go bankrupt, the film will be unfinished and discarded. It's like one person running with a C-stand can blind someone and basically end your career. If you want a very sobering read, go to the Wikipedia article of injuries on set, and you'll see that there's electrocutions, there's people being crushed, there's a lot of vehicle accidents, and that doesn't even include the ones to and from set and location. You also see that it's everybody from Brad Pitt and Harrison Ford all the way down to the production assistants and the runners and the people getting coffee. Now, given how many films are made in the world at any given time, the actual amount of accidents on set is really low. But that's not to say you should become complacent and just imagine that it's not going to happen to you, because it absolutely could. Someone has been shot on one of my sets. Thankfully, it was me. Actually, it happened in Australia over 10 years ago. I was wearing safety goggles. The gun the actress was holding misfired. We cut. She swung it towards me. She'd never held a gun before. And then she pulled the trigger again, and it went off right in my face, and I got powder burns all through my cheeks. I am super lucky that I wasn't worried about looking like a total nerd and wearing safety goggles around guns, because otherwise I'd probably be blind and would never have had a career to start with. So what is it about filmmaking that's so inherently dangerous? It's partly to do with the romance of it. It's partly to do with the risk that people discount. A lot of it is to do with the time equals money, or you've only got 10 minutes of golden hour and you're racing around trying to capture it, and you end up taking risks that you wouldn't otherwise normally take. People drive without seatbelts, people neglect to put on a second safety harness, or neglect to put on hearing and eye protection. Anytime you rush people, which is every day on a film set, every time you say, come on, hurry up, let's do this, unless you've made it explicitly clear to the people that you're working with that compromising on safety is not an issue, they may be tempted to compromise on safety. No film is worth dying for. Take 10 seconds, take a breath, and think to yourself, is there danger here? Am I doing something dangerous? Just dislocate yourself from the pressures and the demands of set for that 20 seconds and just ask yourself that question. Check around you, check above you, check below you, talk to the people, check each other. People who do dangerous things for a living in the police, in the military, fire departments, they're constantly creating systems where they check and recheck their own gear and then have someone else check it for them. They're the kind of systems you should put in place on your film set. Having a one-person camera crew, meaning the DP, gaffer, best boy, is all the one person, means there's no one for him or her to reflect off, no one to check them, no one to spot them. And it's almost always worth getting that second person just for safety. There's a great line in the Netflix Chris Rock special about how one person can't move a couch at all, but two people can move it very easily. And that goes literally for lifting things on set, but also for taking on the vigilance of safety and the vigilance of making sure that the film gets finished and no one gets hurt. So that's a little bit about on-set safety in the normal scope of things. The stuff that I'm seeing more and more of is, especially on YouTube, is people doing dumb things that are inherently dangerous in order to, cut corners, save money, or basically get views. The classic one of this is pretending to stage a robbery in your film and not securing your environment. When we shot the end of Devil's Fortune, we had C-stands all weighted down, covering off the front of the hotel where we were using fake firearms. We also let the front desk know. Obviously, they gave us permission to shoot there, but we also let the local police department know. This is basically why you get a permit, but in addition to the permit, you should, if you're using anything that could be perceived as a crime or dangerous, a fake bomb, a balaclava, a ski mask, anything that someone could see through a window from across the street and call 911, you need to have precautions in place so that the SWAT team isn't going to roll up to your location with guns drawn. There was an episode last year where people were taking advantage of the lack of people in the streets from COVID, and they pretended to rob a bank with fake guns and balaclavas on. You are literally asking to get shot. And they'd be 100% justified because you are presenting a credible lethal threat. In addition to putting up filming in progress signs, you can have people in safety vests, letting people know that you're going for a take, especially when you use simulated gunfire, because people can hear it and call 911. If you're doing anything like that, even having someone scream out, the best practice is to actually hire a police officer for that day. And basically they just come to set, usually they just sit in their patrol car and monitor the radio so that if the 911 call comes across their radio and tells people to investigate it, they can get on the radio and say, oh no, this is Officer so-and-so, we're shooting a film here, there's no threat, stand down. And when you're shooting a bank robbery or something like that, do it in a safe way. It's actually the more mundane stuff that gets people in trouble, especially shooting around roads and shooting around train tracks. We did all the car scenes in Devil's Fortune on blue screen. I had much more control. We had much better time lighting it. Yes, it was an absolute pain in the ass in post to go through and key out all the blue and the green and replace it with things. But I would much rather spend weeks doing that personally than I would try and have people inside a car with cameras that's driving along a road at speed and potentially hurt somebody. Actors and crew know when you have their best interests at heart, and they will give much more of themselves for someone that they trust than someone who's potentially not looking out for them. Safety is not an option on set. It is the only way to make films and have a career. If you're interested in more content like this, we have a bunch of tutorials and longer video subjects at canonmasterclass.com. There's all kind of content about building your career, getting clients, heaps of cinematography stuff, heaps of lighting, scene blueprints, camera courses. Check out canonmasterclass.com. Thank you very much for watching. Be safe, and I will see you next time.